People who asked for a pencil every single day in school. How is life going for you? I'd love to give you the long version, but my phone's about to die. Can I borrow your charger? My collection is nearly complete. So, my best friend did this. We are both adults with jobs now. I asked him the other day if he remembers a pen, and he said his coworkers had gotten together to give him a humongous pen stand stuffed with pens to stop him from asking. I became a nurse. Now I ask for pens instead of pencils and other nurses hunt me down if I take their pen. Now you're asking for phone chargers. I have a sewer in my office that is full of pens, pencils, markers, highlighters, low temp sharpers, etc etc. Anyone can access it that needs one. I also have a secret drawer that only I can access. So back in grade 3 by the middle of the year, every classmate in my class of around 28 of us was asking for a pencil every other day or 3 because they would randomly go missing. Fast forward a bit, and our teacher was making us do the bi-monthly desk cleaning. As we empty out our desks of books and forgotten assignments, a nearby classmate sets their pencil case on top of their desk with a large asterisk THUD*. Some of us look and gaze upon a pencil case like no other. Now, this pencil case was your standard 6x10-inch rectangle, but it was packed so full of pencils that it was a solid cylinder. We started making a scene and the teacher came over to see what was amiss. What followed was the emptying of the pencil case in which the whole class rediscovered their pencils from the past few months. Fucking Michael, hoarding everyone's pencils. Really well, now that I'm an adult, in control of my environment and a budget, I can keep a small drawer on my desk that's dedicated to stationary utensils that work. I've also learned that supplies aren't expensive or hard to get, when I used to assume that people who were fully stocked had some sort of special access to things like teachers. Same for things from the pharmacy, like band-aids and batteries and eye drops. So now I'm the person with the odd thing you need when you don't know you need it. And it feels good, man. I chose to study computer science. Losing a laptop is much harder than losing a pencil. I will write it down if you give me a pencil. The pencil mafia wants me to pay up. They have my family. Send help. I'm okay. Still disorganized AF, but I've learned to maintain stashes of pens, paper and other necessities in every single bag, pocket or drawer that I own. Some of which I have even bought myself. I was that kid. I had friends tell me, my dad says I can't lend you a pen ever again. Teachers would sometimes out me to the class for being irresponsible. None of it worked. I was dumb and not wired for planning ahead. I also used to carry my books, jacket, lunchbox and backpack separately in a rush to the car/bus/next period. Now I'm a trial attorney and fortunate to be busy, but man that was a long road. I fear my future kids. It's going pretty good, really. Still ask for a pen most days and even return it sometimes, so I guess I've grown as a person. With the pencils I have collected throughout the years, I have amassed enough to trade them for a house. Now I'm a special ed teacher, teaching kids who lose their pencil 15x a day how to remember their pencils. Is this karma? I'm a software engineer, and I still ask my co-workers for a pen when I need to write something down. I'm currently trying to figure out how to be responsible enough to be independent. I married someone who always had spare pens. We find each other. Once knew a kid who went through her entire schooling life without owning any exercise books or a pencil case. She used to ask for a spare piece of paper and a pen every lesson. She is also one of the smartest people I know, and still managed to duck a year and most of her classes. To this day I still don't know how she managed that, and where she kept all the information we learnt in class. It is insane. I asked for a pen/pencil very often. I grew up very poor, and I could never ask my parents for something like pens or pencils. School was hard. I was kicked out freshman year for bad grades, sent to continuation, kicked out of continuation, and then continued adult education. Life was tough. I now work for CA Dept of Corrections, and I make plus 100k a year. My kids will always have what they need, and some extra for others. Turned out okay somehow. Thanks for asking. I'm a carpenter now, and I still forget my pencil some days. I absolutely hated having to lend my pencils out and never get them back. I grew up poor, so it wasn't easy to furnish those to begin with. Eventually, I would only buy 2 mechanical pencils at the beginning of the year and leave one at home and carry one in my backpack with me. That way when someone asked if they could borrow a pencil, I could say no and not feel guilty. I'm an accountant. Thank God all the work is on the computer now. I'm a stripper. I couldn't even remember to bring a pencil to school. I obviously wasn't cut out for a life that required a lot of responsibility. I'm an independent contractor, so I can show up to work whenever I want and don't have to remember a schedule. Plus I can get drunk at work. No responsibilities. Perfect. In my schools, the kids that did this were usually poor, dysfunctional/abusive homes, in a shelter, or part of the foster care system. They were also typically the ones asking others for their lunch scraps, a quarter, loose leaf paper. Many of them didn't graduate high school. I always think about those kids. Asterisk, I also sympathize with those that have emotional, mental, or learning disorders. Anxiety and language delays are heavy in my family. I started buying all types of cute or character pen/pencils for my kids, as well as buying Ticonderoga pencils by the box, and would place tons of them everywhere in the house and in their backpacks and lockers. Elementary school teacher: no, I won't lend you a pen because you won't always be able to rely on others for these things. My boss on my first day: here's the supply closet. Just let Gail know if something starts to run low so she can order more. Grade 5. I got 3 days ice and a recommendation for military school. My detention slip reel again failed to bring necessary supplies and unprepared for class. I was such an obnoxious shithead to Ms. Morgan. She looked for any way she could to get me out of her class. To be fair, she was a bitch who didn't need to be anywhere near a school. Now, honorably discharged combat vet, massage therapist trying to get into grad school. Married to a beautiful woman and have 2 adorable idiotic cats. My own apartment. Decent credit. Good grades. A failing child is still a child. Blame the parents most of the time and support the child. I only did it to annoy the shit out of this one girl. Tuned and pencil vendor. I was the poor kid in the affluent part of the city. Not to say we were so poor my parents couldn't afford pencils, but I think when you're that kid, there are systematic processes in place where the school system sort of gives up on the poor kids to focus their efforts on kids who have more advantages. And when you are treated like you're a lost cause, you're going to internalize that, which is what I did. I didn't give a shit about school. I was never prepared, rarely did my homework, hung out with mostly shitty people, and almost didn't graduate school high school. I borrowed more than my fair share of pencils back then. I worked shitty dead-end jobs after I graduated and never had much money. I think I was about 25 when I decided I didn't want to live like this until I died. Started surrounding myself with good people, went to community college, although scared dude scraped by, like I did in middle school and college, happened to have great teachers, found out studying works, and just kept at it. Transferred to a 4-year university, earned 2 bachelor degrees a few years later in semi-related fields. Took on a sales position at a software and services company after graduating, and have been doing well there for a while. Now I'm enrolled in school again working on my MBA. Oh, and now I have a whole gaggle of pencils sitting right next to me. TL, doctor, things are going great. Thanks for asking. Bought a 20-pack of Ticonderogas 3 years ago. Haven't asked for one since. Once I kicked the Xanax habit, it got a lot better. For me it switched from pencils to lighters. I'm sorry friends. In India we had this very lame thing which was, if you asked for a pencil the other person would say Teri Shadi cancel, meaning your wedding's cancelled. So answering your question, I guess they are all single with 10 cats right now lol. IDKY I'm sharing this but it just reminded me of my childhood. Not me, but my best friend, since middle school. His family had financial issues, and he had a pretty bad relationship with them, to the degree where he would be afraid to ask them for any money or school supplies. I think for a solid 5 years he'd always have an extra pack of pencils on me that I would share with him. Him and I both made it into the same med school 3 years ago, and since he has been taking great care of himself, has a job, and made it a habit to always have those mechanical pencils in his dress shirt pocket lol. I'm very proud of him. Area man asks to borrow neighboring job applicant's resume. Hey, PSSSSST. Yeah you got a keyboard I can borrow to reply to this comment? Sorry, I couldn't afford a pencil at the time. Now willing to pay back.